fix it, right?
I accidentally hit that.
Yeah, you're
button.
good.
Yeah, there you go. Now it's back on. Cool. All right.
What did you need my laptop for again?
What happened?
What did you need my laptop for again?
Oh, just so you can, because usually you get on there and confirm shit and whatever, and
Gotcha.
if we get going, just keep an eye on the comments
I got you.
and such,
Oh, yeah.
and such.
Yeah, so
Desert.
we are live with all of this.
Beautiful. All right.
Can you put a different angle?
You want to put a different angle?
Yeah, follow it.
Well, oh, just then.
Boom. And you got
Beautiful. And then maybe scooch over a little. Oh, I guess I can scooch.
You got a scoop.
The chairs.
But I feel like we're then you guys are super jammed in over here. Here, yeah, come turn it this way a little bit to me. Hey, there we go. Cool. You good? Everybody good? You guys got enough room over there? Not sitting on each other's laps too much? Beautiful. All right. Wait, what the whistle?
What does that mean?
What's your whistle?
You never heard that before? Let me wet my whistle.
From the 1900s.
It's for you.
Yeah, the three old folks over here.
Yeah,
the
for
rich-
yo.
Shady Acres Retirement Community on this side.
Right? That just doesn't make sense.
What does not make sense about wet your whistle? All right. Welcome, friends. Let me back up a little bit. I'm too loud on my mic. I think, actually, it looks like it came up since our last. Would you mind turning me down just a touch, please? I'm number 3. In the fodder, thank you. In the fader, in case I get loud. There we go. Boom. Lovely. Hello, friends. My name is Oliver Ox, and welcome to the Doing Better Show. This is our second show of the 3rd season. You can tell it's the 3rd season because we have our luxurious Doing Better Show branded background. You see that? It's not bad. And the headphones, too, because we're all extra official and getting our sound sweet. Today, we're going to get into some fun stuff. Not fun at all, actually. Some pretty depressing stuff, potentially, but we're going to make it fun and we're going to make it positive. We are joined by our special guest today, Aaron Goulet. Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I like what you've done with the place. Looks like you're going somewhere. So
we're doing better. It's better than last time.
absolutely.
So
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for being here. So we're going to talk with Aaron about his business, and he's going to give us some of his takes on the healthcare thing as well. That's going to be our main topic of the day. As much as there's a lot of energy right now around this Luigi Mangione and the Brian Johnson, is that the guy's name? The healthcare CEO, United Healthcare CEO, I believe that's his name, who got assassinated. Obviously that's not inherently a positive story, but the focus that I think it's putting on the healthcare system in this country, which dollars to output, is horrendous. I mean, we have basically the worst system you could even plan to come up with. In my opinion, we really have the worst combination of socialism and government control and capitalism and billionaires getting over. Those things are sort of combined in a way that gives us horrendous outcomes, sort of somewhere middle of the pack globally on a lot of issues. Yet when we are spending head and shoulders more than any other country. So it's a good topic for us to talk about. To have this discussion, we have a wonderful panel, joined as always by DZ over there on his phone, getting some footage for the socials.
You mentioned me while I'm recording.
Exactly, showing you doing your work, putting your work in. Day is with us as well.
Hello.
Hi, Day. And we have Beth again.
Hello, how's it going?
Back from our first episode, and back from last season, we have Top Hat Johnny in the house. Very excited for our panel. So the reason I sort of brought this group together is because I think we have some diversity of thought around healthcare. And as with all things, I don't want to get into a same old red versus blue discussion, communism versus capitalism, these sort of very simple-minded, hard-headed discussions. I want to talk about what makes sense and what actually works. So we're going to get into that. There are 3 things I want to talk about because I don't want to not mention them before we move on, and maybe get your guys' takes on. The first one, I'm not going to even ask for your takes on. I'm just going to give a quick spiel because it's going to be our topic next week. Syria, the government of Syria has fallen this week, effectively after what looks like an Israel and U.S. backed coup. They've effectively put in some version of Al-Qaeda to be in charge there, some Islamist group, which is supposedly better than Bashar al-Assad. I really want to get into that because this is a pattern that we've had for basically my entire life and then some. When we, the United States military or some intelligence group backs some violent movement in a country, it's always presented as some liberation or some freeing of the poor people there, and everything's going to be better under the new guys that we put in there, and that's almost never the case. So I do want to get into that. I'm going to make sure there's a lot more research I need to do between now and then. I saw a fascinating interview with Bashar al-Assad, the now ousted dictator leader of Syria, depending on your perspective. So we're going to get into that majorly next week. And I think it feels to me like some of the big stories that we are going to talk about this week feel like maybe a distraction from what is, I think, the biggest issue going on right now. But we'll touch on that next week. The second issue, I'd love to hear your guys' takes on it, actually, is sort of dominating the news. And this is right in the mainstream media. This is not TikTok news anymore. The drones. Have you guys seen the drones? The drone stories? Anyone? No one's seen one yet, have we?
No.
Have we seen one of these alleged drones? Well, I mean, I guess they're really
Well,
drones.
there was a meteor
Life's too stressful to
shower
be looking at the
on
sky.
Friday evening, Saturday morning, and I was like, that was an interesting meteor shower. And someone was like, it was the drones. I'm like, I'm pretty sure those were meteors, but okay.
But so with all these things, I'm just so much more. I used to always have like conspiracy leanings in me, but with all these things, and I'll say this again, I've said it before, post Epstein, all fucking bets are off. I'm sorry. We found the most conspiratorial, craziest shit ever, right? Like,
He's speaking a little bit. He's speaking.
the main, thank you. The main people that run our country and our world are very tightly linked with the most notorious sex predator of our generation. It's whatever. Like, and no one's done anything about it. So because that came out, and that was a big, for those of us that were paying attention to that story for many years before it came out into the mainstream, if you brought that up in any polite society, you were talked to like you're an idiot, right? Oh yeah, sure, buddy. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Bill Gates is banging kids on some island somewhere, like whatever, right? Like, and as far as we know, they've done nothing to disprove any of that. So, until further notice, I will look very suspiciously on every story, drones included. But so I think what you're saying, that was sort of a comment on what you said, Beth, because I think now it's like all crazy is on the table.
Oh yeah.
And it to me this feels like maybe feeding that on purpose. What do you guys think? Any more drone thoughts?
It's a right-wing conspiracy theory.
The fact that they exist?
I mean, every 15-year-old at the hobby shop can get a drone. So it's probably not the government. If you see a drone outside your house, it is probably Johnny being an idiot and possibly being a voyeur. It's probably not the government.
So I would agree with you if you see this drone outside your house, but these are
Way bigger.
thousand, like these are 20,
yeah.
50, $100 million
But
drones, right? Like these are not hobby store
At the same
ones.
time, we're actually right on the flight path for the Navy Yard. So us seeing drones over us at night is not anything I'd be concerned about, because they may just be training people on how to fly them.
So I actually tend to think something along those lines is the most likely explanation, that it's something military that we're not being told about. I don't know. I don't agree that we should not be concerned.
Well, they're definitely not going to drop ordnance with them. I mean, that's definitely never happened before anywhere. There's definitely not a war going on right now where they're practicing and getting really good at
With GoFundMe accounts?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely hasn't been ships sunk by countries with no navies by turning a boat into a drone. I mean, drones are our friends, and we should not be worried about them at all.
What
So
are you
ever.
doing, Dave?
For those of you out there that aren't familiar with Top Hat Johnny, or maybe not from New England, where we talk sarcasm very, very heavily, you might need to listen in for the tone. But what you bring up is an interesting point. So one of the things that I've the role of drones in the military now is a big deal, and one of the stories I'd heard a lot about, it's happened in Ukraine quite a bit,
Yeah.
is that you can basically get a $1,000 drone, throw $1,000 worth of explosives on it and go take out a $1 million tank.
Knock a zero off of those numbers. That's how cheap it can
Yeah,
be.
they were doing this. When the invasion first happened, they were doing crowdsourcing, and people could donate, and you could crowdsource, and they were taking those donations to buy the hobby drones, and then using those. Which I'm actually for. I'm actually for if the people who are being attacked are taking that. I am all for you defending your own borders. Granted, another country coming in and we're going to save you. But if we're crowdsourcing to get ordnance, there's another discussion to have.
I tend to agree. Yeah.
Have you seen any of the videos on it?
This current round of drones.
Like, they have I think some of these military personnel, they carry the body cams on.
Yeah.
them. And there'll be a video of like Ukrainian or Russian soldiers, I think from both sides. I've seen a few different videos. You want to talk about PTSD when they're older? Is they're scurried in a bunker trying to hide as much as possible from, and all you hear is because it's looking for them. So then they can be in a tunnel and they're just like, you can hear them breathing like, and you hear, and it's like the scariest thing. I sent this to some of my buddies and they were like, that's like nightmare fuel.
I did see a video of them actually killing a guy with one, which I wish I hadn't have seen. But yeah,
it's pretty gnarly. It's like, wow, like just hearing that noise. It's like, like you said, Johnny's gonna be playing with his drone, and then the military vet's gonna start shooting it down. It's his neighbor's drone. So, I think the future of the PTSD, like back then they used to have the airplanes, in like World War II. I can't think of
The Stutka.
Yes, they used to hear that back in the day. So that was like the nightmare sound. I think this day and age, hearing those drones is what's going to trigger a lot of these military guys once they get older.
Bikes. So there was a Ukraine company that right before the invasion, their big thing was they were crowdsourcing the first electric motorcycle, and they took them all off the line. They gave them to snipers, and so that they can sneak right up, do what they need to do, and get back out. And all you'll hear is the little whiz from the electric bikes.
That's an interesting perspective. That your view on it is
Again,
PTSD related, though, and that's such a real life consequence of war, right? And with each war, there's been a different brand of trauma that people are going to get from from that experience.
Yeah.
Nothing to worry. The VA does a very good job of taking care of our veterans. I had a veteran working on my boat once, and he had a lot of PTSD. And the last night that I saw him, he was crying because the VA had hung up on them and said, "We're going to help someone with real problems now." He didn't show up to work the next morning, and I found him dead on his floor. But I'm sure it was nothing to do with what the VA had been doing to him for the 10 years prior to that. I'm sure there's nothing to do. The VA does a very good job.
I mean, I think realistically, though, the amount of resources you would need to treat the PTSD of every person we send into harm's way is infinite. There's no amount of... The reason, in my opinion, that we have this high suicide rate among veterans is because they've seen and done horrible shit. And, there's no undoing, being... I think a lot...
True. And then they come home to a system that actually benefits when they die. That's the hard truth. That's the hard truth. We lost my cousin. Was an Iraqi veteran. There's a young man in Gloucester that came to work on my lobster boat. It wasn't even in combat. He got shot in a really ridiculous accidental discharge. Almost died. He's got PTSD. 5 years ago, he was fine. If he just smokes weed, he's fine. Well, the VA decided that, we're going to forcibly take you off weed. We're going to put you on all these psychotropic, yeah, that's the word I was looking for, drugs, and he's lost his mind. He's lost his mind. Him and his dad had a fishing boat together. They had to get rid of it because the son, I'm not going to use any names, but the son lost his mind and went down to the wharf and started cutting all these boats loose that were from out of state because he was convinced they were an invasion. And these are just guys that transiently come into Gloucester, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And the solution was just to let him smoke weed, and he was fine. And I have another friend that's a Marine veteran, and he's not taking the drugs they're giving him, and he's scared to death they're going to find out because they'll take all of his benefits away. But when he's on the drugs, he can't be around he can't handle his kids.
Yeah.
It's a shit show. And they're, I should have worn that T-shirt tonight. You know, the VA giving every veteran a second chance to die for the country since 19 whatever.
Some fucking dark humor right there.
Oh yeah.
Good
Well, I
Lord.
did wear this one. Dark humor is like food. Not everyone gets it.
I like that.
Well, so good. That's going to be I want to talk about a couple of those issues, specifically around healthcare when we get there. Any other drone thoughts before we move off? Before we're done with drones?
Well, so to bring up the drones, I know we were talking about, are there drones and who's using them? Isn't Walmart and Amazon planning to use them for like deliveries now, and they're in the process of working on that?
There's a lot of possible explanations, like theoretical explanations.
Yeah.
But the thing that I find most not believable about the whole thing is like, we don't know what these drones are. Fuck the fuck off. You know damn well what all these drones are. They've had military technology to find things like this. I was in Kansas last week. Would not recommend 0 out of 10. Sorry, Kansas people, but move. Anyway, there's an Air and Space Museum there where I saw the SR-71 Blackbird, which I was like obsessed about as a kid. It was like the fastest plane in the world. And it's 1960s technology that was made for spying and stealth operation and da-da-da-da-da. And that was in the 1960s. And that's in the 1960s when a computer, to play a song would have taken this entire fucking room. And now I have a computer 1,000 times better right here. So, like, the technology has improved. And the military didn't just, like, pass on all that time. We don't need all that technology. Like, with our $800 billion a year budget, like, we're not going to use that. They know exactly what the fuck these drones are. There's a 0% chance.
We didn't know about that balloon until it was over the country.
Definitely. No idea.
I watched the news. That's what they said. They would never lie about that.
Yeah, so same category. Like the balloons and drones, like they know what they are. So that whole idea, like, oh, we have no idea. The fact that they're lighting up makes me think that this is not some mistake that people are like, you could have just turned the fucking lights off. If you're doing some, like sketchy covert operation, you could have just turned the lights off. And I think part of this is everyone freaking out and taking videos of the sky and wondering about aliens and whatever while we are distracted from whatever the next thing is.
Yeah, that's the thing I heard was like, everyone's saying they're aliens. And I just went, I'm so glad I haven't been on my phone. I'm so glad my algorithm has filtered out idiots.
So no lie, I don't own a television. Haven't owned one for years. I disconnected the radio in my truck, and I literally deliberately live under a rock. Like the way I figure shit out is I go on social media. When I see a cool meme, I go, oh, that sounds cool, and then I research it. And if it's not meme worthy, I don't need to know about it.
Are you happier though?
I am so much fucking happier.
Ignorance is bliss.
Well,
No, it's not ignorance. I'm not. It's not a constant fucking barrage. Like I can pick my battles now.
yeah.
Filtered existence.
Yes.
That's what it is. That's perfect.
And I think there's, you talk about PTSD, and I think that's something that is more than just immediate. I think our high stress lives and the cycle of which we are always something's going to kill you. Immigrants are going to come kill you. Aliens are going to come kill you. Russia's going to come kill you. Terrorists are going to come kill you. Quick, get food. Make sure you have food. Everyone go to the grocery store because we don't know this next big storm is going to kill you. Global warming is going to kill you. Yeah. And I think there's something about that keeps you in a state. That plus what you said earlier.
I'm getting ready for the ice age that Leonard Nimoy warned us about in the 70s.
70s, right.
Global warming is so 2020s. I'm way ahead of you, dude. The next thing is going to be the ice age is coming back, and I'm getting ready for that.
And the other thing that you mentioned too, though, was that you were too busy to look at the sky, and that's. I don't think that stuff like that is by accident. I think that constant, like, just trying to survive when you're bombarded with all this negativity, I think for one's mental health, ripping the radio out of your truck and getting rid of your TV is probably not a bad move.
I mean, I went off social media from we got into lockdown, and I broke during lockdown. Just mentally, boom, we're all gonna die completely alone. And I just ripped everything out, and I did not come back onto social media until the end of this year.
Wow.
And I am already ready to rip it back out and tell you all to go F yourselves.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Just
Okay.
not me though, because I'm lovely. Don't tell me that myself.
Oh no, I'm still coming to your shows.
Okay, good.
I'm still gonna be in the front row as long as you're not going on at 11:15 p.m. because I'm asleep by then, which is what happened.
Oh
last
yeah, that's what
Saturday.
happened last week. Yeah, we had my band played a show for a Christmas benefit. Toys for Tots. That's the one, right?
Yep.
Yes. But it was a little late.
I dropped $100 of toys. I said hello. I went, you're at 11:15. Goodbye. Went back home.
Well, thank you very much for donating the toys. The Tots will be very happy.
The house will be happy. But it was more, I don't drink anymore. And what happened was my beers got switched twice.
Oh, like fake beers for real beers?
Yeah. And I didn't notice until I'm like, I feel good.
What is this positivity and optimism?
And they're like, no, I gotta go to bed now. Gotta go home,
Nice.
gotta go to bed.
All right, let's move on because otherwise we'll get distracted, and we're working on doing better on our time management on the Doing Better show this year. So let's.
And you brought me on the show?
Listen, I gotta do this. So I want to hear from Aaron. Aaron came to talk to us about his business and his career, and these are the things that we always like to focus on the Doing Better show. People out there doing better, and especially people who are working extra hard and thinking outside the box. So Aaron, tell us a little bit about your career and your business and where your energy's at these days.
Yeah. So just to give a little bit of a background, so for anybody that's first time seeing my face, my name's Aaron Goulet. I work at the hospital right down the street, Lawrence General Hospital. I've been there for a little over 4 years now. So like many people my age, everybody was programmed to go to college. And the only way, whether the story is, we come from a poor family, you need to go to college. We come from a rich family, you need to go to college. You're a minority, you need to go to college. That's the only way to be successful. I kind of just want to get right into that just for a second.
Yeah,
so
launching your tirade, brother. Launching your tirade. Go.
Yeah. So my mother was a nurse. She became a nurse right when the 2008 recession happened. I don't know, anybody who's doing construction made no money. It was tough. So right when we were basically about to lose the house, my mom became a nurse. She started working crazy shifts. So basically you could work 24/7 any minute of the day. If you're bored, you don't have nothing to do, you just say, hey, you guys need anybody? Okay, I'll go work on that floor today. Boom, you can go make money. They'll give you a bonus, whatever. So it was cool. So that saved our family, and then construction started ramping up. So
your family's in construction?
Yeah, all my uncles on both sides, we're all builders, all of us. So my brother's a builder. It's since I was 12 years old. Oh, Dad, can I get $20 to go to Cannonball Lake? He's like, well, if you want to make money, you gotta. The truck leaves in the morning, 6 a.m. So, no free handouts. And my dad's old school. He does not play any of that. No way. So that gave us like a drive. Never depend on somebody for a handout. So like now that I'm older, I never say, oh, I really wish I could, someone could give me this or give me that. It's like, no, okay, so now it's going to change my mindset is, how am I going to go get that? So now instead of like in the back of your head, oh, but he always got me, or that person always has me, it's, you put a little bit more of the pressure on yourself to make things happen, as you want them to. So basically, I went to college, took out this massive loan. Everybody I knew in college, they were going for, simple majors, sports management. Oh, what are you doing? I'm doing business. Well, what do you want to do with that? Well, I don't know, just something to do for now. Did they have a desire to go to business? Probably not, but they probably said, well, I want to make money, like everybody. And, why don't you just do business? Oh, I want a business one day. But the problem is they go into business management and they don't have a business to manage. Mm-hmm. Right? So, and then $100,000 later, now they have a debt. They could have learned all this stuff on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Seriously though, not even, okay, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. Even from this year, in the last few years, I learned more about business, reading books, and doing it than probably most of my friends. And I tell them that, and they're like, no, you're probably right. And I'm still very green. I'm not acting like I'm a big CPA and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. But I'm learning every day, and every year, just wow, I can't believe I learned all that this year. Whether it's marketing and how to promote yourself and how to do all this kind of stuff, right? But a big thing I'm doing now is I'm trying to start telling these kids, you don't have to go to college. Maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that was the story, right? Because everybody was in the trades. Like, you could go get a drywaller. You walk down the street, you do drywall, okay, can you come hang some drywall? Everybody did it. Now, everybody that was in that group, they said, oh, man, this drywall stuff sucks, or whatever it is, framing, or, paint, even painting, right? Anything, flooring, whatever. Electrician, plumbers. So there were so many of them that they were like, oh, there's so many people in here, just go to college and you can go make a bunch of money. But everybody thought that. So everybody sent their kids to college.
Yeah, I think that really started with my generation, with sort of the maybe the Gen Xers a little bit, but millennials got it like hard. Like,
Yeah.
I'm the older millennial, and that was the whole speech that you got when you were 11 to 18 years old in the 90s was, don't be a fucking loser. You want to be cleaning people's toilets? Like, go to college, or you're going to be cleaning people's toilets.
That's how I paid for college.
Yeah.
But it was
I
just
scrubbed toilets to pay for college.
but it was an incredible disrespect for anything other than
Yeah.
going to a 4-year school. It was like, oh, being a plumber, you might as well clean toilets. And it's like, no, that's not true at all. And someone needs to clean the toilets. But why are we disrespecting people that bust their ass and work and provide a useful service for the rest of us? Because if no one cleans that toilet, we'll be a lot worse off than if nobody appraises that piece of art or whatever the fuck you're doing with your college degree. No offense to other college-educated people.
I have fixed more toilets with my 4-year degree, walking in and finding out the damn toilet was broken, and I need to use it. I've done that at the Fleet Center. That tells you how old I am. I just called it the Fleet Center. But I was there, and there was this long line, and there was one toilet that no one was going to, and I walked in, and it was broken, so I fixed it, I used it, I walked out.
You're brave.
You're going to send the invoice now.
Exactly. Sorry, so I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think
it's
that trend has been for a long time, and your generation are the first ones that are going, wait a second, this is not paying out, because people starting in my generation went and got 4-year degrees, gotten a lot of debt, not as much debt as y'all are getting in, but gotten a lot of debt, and then didn't have the jobs to pay it off. It was really started with my generation, and I was fortunate. I went to school in Canada before that was a thing, so I went to school for like $11,000 a year.
Nice.
My parents helped out. I got out of school with no debt. But that's a rare situation. Both me being fortunate and choosing wisely. But I know for myself, I graduated college and was making half or less of what my electrician, mechanic, and plumber friends, guys who either did that in high school or went for a 2-year degree or a 1-year program or an apprenticeship right out of the high school. And I haven't caught up in the whole income earnings game with them since then. Those motherfuckers got 3 houses now. So.
I was just gonna follow up with what you said. So people say, like, okay, so hopefully some of my family's not watching this, but basically I have a cousin, right? He's in college. He's basically calling me on the side like, man, I don't know if this is it, and I'm like, it's really not, So I'm kind of telling him, like, I'm kind of just throwing hints at him. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm not telling you what to do, but I'll tell you what. Everybody I know that's my age, that's buying houses, that that they're buying trucks, they're buying vans, they have all these stuff loads of like just tools, all like people who have basically motion, right? These people that have motion, they're all in the trades right now. I'm telling you, everybody I know that went to college, they're broke and they're living paycheck to paycheck. And I don't mean to say like paycheck to paycheck, but it's more of like a. So this is what's happening, right? So the system is rigged, right? Because if you're a high school and if you're sending 80% of your kids to college, now you get to say, hey, Massachusetts, I just sent 80% of my kids to college. They're going to say, oh, good job. Here's $4 million. Go do more stuff like that. Boom. So now that's the system. So they're like, oh, we need to get more kids to college. So now they're getting incentivized to send these kids to college. These kids are going to sit down to a guidance counselor that doesn't know them. Well, what do you like to do, Johnny? Well, I'm an athlete, I like sports, I kind of want to own a business one day. Oh, so do sports management or do business management. Right. Oh, well, look at Worcester State University right here. Just go go on the college application website and send it over, and you'll be good to go. So they do that. They tell, oh, mom, I'm going to college. Oh, that's so awesome. You're going to be the first graduate of the family. Hype. College,
absolutely.
College.
So, but I think I know there are definitely some messed up incentives in the public school system,
Yeah.
but I think all that is downstream of culture. I think it's a culture of disrespecting people who work for a living.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing not valuable. There's nothing disrespectable about going out there and working and providing a service, no matter how low that is. Right? Like, is it Martin Luther King who talked about like if you're going to be a street sweeper, like be the best street sweeper there is. And it's probably the wrong quote, but anyway, I'm just such a big believer in that, and there's such dignity in work. And when you look at the people who are, this is something we talk about often at the Doing Better show, we're not a huge fan of the banking industry, but if you look at people on Wall Street, these hedge fund managers who are like, oh my God, they're so special. These are great people. They're so well educated. This is the peak of society. They contribute nothing from anybody. Most of Wall Street is just siphoning off wealth. They're not out there creating, they're not building things in the factories, they're not sweeping any floors, and they're not, they're not inventing technology, they're not doing any of the things that create wealth, that generate wealth, that actually keep the system going. They're effectively siphoning it off, and they're treated with the highest respect.
Yeah, because they wear a suit.
Because they wear a suit, yeah.
So I'll tell you this, ready? So I was outside the gym the other day, right? So those I picked up a couple of my buddies, so we're just sitting there, just talking, whatever. We don't talk much. So a guy pulls up in a nice car. He gets in the parking lot, and then they were like, "Oh, look at that car! Look how cool that car is!" And then there's a guy, and he's driving a truck, and he has a big trailer, big landscaping trailer. So then I was like, "You want to know what's funny is that you think this guy's the one that has the money, but it's really the landscaper in the back with the trailer and everything like that." And they're like, "I never thought about it like that," and I was like, "I just started like figuring that out." So all these guys that are coming out wearing dirty clothes and everything like that, those are the guys who are really pulling in some meat. I mean, you're talking thousands of dollars a day.
Yeah, there's $1 trillion of auto loan debt right now in this country. $1 trillion. There's a quarter of people owe over $1,000 a month in their payments.
I have a very funny story. So this is in 2007. So beginning of 2007, I had to go and close my bank account, and I was working in the warehouse, so I was in my warehouse clothes and ripped gloves, but I had to go to Boston to close the bank account because I was working in downtown Boston. So I'm at the Boston branch on State Street, and the homeless people are crossing the street. They will not even look me in the eye because they think I'm worse off than they are. And I walk in to close out my account, and I was treated like a king. The next week I go to Arlington, which is a much more rich, affluent area, to reopen that bank account because my boyfriend at the time lost my checkbook, so I had to just close everything down and restart it. And so I'm wearing pearls, I have a sweater, I look like Muffy and Buffy. I walk in with the check in hand from the old bank, and the new bank went, you have to have at least $500 to open an account here. So when I was dressed nice, and I had the nice haircut, I was treated like shit. I walked in with my ripped jacket and my work gloves from the warehouse job, and they're like, how can we help you?
Yeah.
So
They probably know.
The banks know.
Yeah.
The banks know if you look flashy, you don't have shit. And that was almost 20 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
If you know, you know.
I mean, you look at...
There's like a saying that's like wealth whispers. I forgot the other part, but that's really what it is.
Broke girls or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, half the people that you see on Instagram, you're like, oh my God, look at what they have. They don't have it. They don't have any of that shit. They can't afford that vacation. That's all on the credit card. That car they owe all the money on. If they, they're probably 10 grand upside down in that Benz that they're driving and da-da-da-da-da right down the line. There's a great old meme, and it's like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and Mark Zuckerberg in a picture, and it's like, however many billions of dollars, not one Gucci belt inside or whatever, right? So
It's a popular one.
Yeah.
Because I think what people put into, they think college is a free pass to make money, right? But the reason why I'm switching over, because people would say, oh, you're an RN, you get paid good enough money, you worked your ass off for 4 years, why would you ever go like screw nails and do that like instead? Like, you worked so hard, why would I'm like, well, just because I worked hard and for 4 years doesn't mean if I see an opportunity you don't take it. You just go with the times, right? So I'm smart enough to take a step back and say, okay, which one has more potential for growth and which one is gonna fulfill me more. So people think they're going to make money when they go to college. The problem is most of the time when you go to college, you're going to be getting paid because you know a skill, but someone's going to hire you for your time, right? So they'll pay you by the hour. So you might be like a specialist, right? And they might say, okay, well, you make $50 an hour. And some people will say, wow, that's $50 an hour. That's good. Some people will say, wow, that's not a lot at all. Mm-hmm. The problem is time is a limited resource, right? So you can only get paid, for a 12-hour workday, whatever you're going to do, 16-hour workday. If you own a business, you could work hard, or you could build a system that can create wealth, right? So, for example, like say Danny here. So say I have 10 Dannys, all together, right? I can go have him perform a work, but I can multiply how much work I'm doing because I can hire people to do the work. You know what I mean?
Right.
So now I can find deals and get paid off of deals, which is that's a little bit of a capitalism there. But if we live in a capitalistic society, why not? Don't hate the player, hate the game, right?
Type shit.
Sure, I think
He didn't create capitalism. He's just using it.
Sure,
Yeah. It's like
so I think that's an interesting moral issue. So let's talk about let's pivot a little bit. Our Luigi Mangione, our alleged shooter of the CEO, United Healthcare CEO. So that CEO, he's just playing the game, right? Like he's denying people coverage. And again, we're picking on him. I don't know the details of the way that the structure of that particular healthcare company or whatever. But I have seen the numbers. They had the highest denial rate of surgeries and stuff. So he's making decisions, and people die as a result of those decisions. Should I hate the player? Or should I hate the game? Like at what point in time?
Yes.
But okay, expand.
The system sucks. I've been biting my tongue not to overstay my welcome. But the people that know how to play the game play it really well at a much lower level. My ex-wife was an RN and did the ICD-9, ICD-10 coding. She was a visiting nurse, and she very quickly realized that if she went into an old lady's house, she could ask that lady a series of questions where she could then use the right code to say that this woman is incontinent, even though she wasn't. Mm-hmm. She could get payment for incontinence treatment, run it for however many long she needed to do it, and then ask a different series of questions and write it up so that she had cured the incontinence. Mm-hmm. And she played that. Her boss loved her. Oh, wow. I was in the automotive industry for a very long time, and it looks to me from the people that I know in the medical system, it's more like a car dealership than it is like a hospital. Yeah. It isn't that they're helping people. They're not doing things for people. They're doing things to people. And how do I get paid?
So a friend of mine who actually might be watching tonight. I will keep his name out of this, but he's a home health aide for his mom, who's older and in poor health, and he's a little suspicious that basically she's on mass health, that our hospital and doctors are basically trying to give her everything that they can give her,
so they get paid.
Yeah, so
there's a T-shirt that says there's a code for that. And it's an inside joke amongst people in that industry. If you know the code, you can get paid.
And they told him, it was about a month ago, that she was in stage 5 kidney failure. And she does have, she's not doing well. Don't get me wrong. But that she basically needed dialysis and was going to die. And she's like, yeah, well, I just want to, I'm ready for the Lord to take me kind of deal. But she's fine. As far as those stage 5, all the things that you're supposed to, that are the symptoms that are supposed to be complete breakdown of your body basically. And she doesn't have any of that stuff. And he's and then they send him a thing for an oncology appointment. And she doesn't have cancer, has no history or anything. And so he's fully convinced that they're basically, all of us go up at the same time, that they're basically just trying to milk her because she's on mass health. The taxpayer will foot the bill.
Yep. So that was actually where I had my little.
Ooh. All right, we got a flow chart here.
So I'm going to do where we are currently. So this is our current healthcare in
Do you want to
Massachusetts.
get it here? I'll put it on the
Big screen.
Does you want to get on the screen? I don't know if we can see that on there. We go.
All right.
All right.
So I divide. There's a lot of nuances, but we have three categories. Big cups. We have mass health. We have people who have either work insurance through work, or because since we have affordable health care in Massachusetts, our nice little Romney Care, we can actually purchase our own insurance. So, and then there's the 1%. And that's our current system. Our 1%ers, they're the ones who can get private care. They don't have to go through the healthcare systems. And with that, no, okay. So, if you're in mass health, you get the government benefits. And at that point, that's when the hospital's like, we got one. And they charge. Middle class, if you're on a certain type of insurance, if you are part of a company insurance, work insurance, they have limits. And personal purchase, they also have limits. And what that means is they use a statistical analysis to see how much of a risk are you of actually having this disease. So 20 years ago, I actually almost died 3 times in a year. Because statistically, I shouldn't have been having these symptoms. So they just told me I was crazy. And wanted to put me on birth control because obviously it's a hormonal issue. And if they just put me on birth control and make me go see a therapist, I will be sane and I will be cured. Because the testing costs so much that United Healthcare would not pay for the preventative medicine testing. So at 27, I had my first biopsy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They tried to tell me I had an allergy to milk. Oh, I was so angry. I didn't go see a doctor for 7 years. And then I got a doctor's appointment. Everything was cool. That was 7 years ago. I have not seen a doctor since.
Wow.
But, so what happens with our current system? Our current system, though, has this nice little thing where in Massachusetts, this has been defanged everywhere else in the United States. But in Massachusetts, supposedly the law, you can correct me if I'm wrong if they're actually doing this and not following the rules, but they shouldn't be able to turn you away. So if you come into the emergency room with a health condition, you don't get turned away.
No.
And that's because we have that tax fine. So if you don't have health insurance, you're paying the fine, so come on in. And that's what the fine is supposed to be doing.
Well, you actually see too. You see a lot of immigrants come in with no papers, nothing. They'll fly them over, and then they get health care here, and they're back home.
Fine. You know what? There's someone bleeding. Let's just take care of it.
Yeah, and that's what I say too, right? Because you see, it's tough, right? Because a lot of times you're discharging patients to these physical, physical therapy, whether they broke their hip or whatever the situation is, and sometimes you see people who, they're born here and they put money into the system, and then sometimes they're like, oh, but your insurance only covers these, rehabs, and they're the worst rehabs in the area. And then sometimes like they've been to that one and they're crying, I don't want to go back, and you're just like, yeah. And then sometimes, I don't know how it happens, I'm not the case manager, they push the papers, but sometimes you see someone who hasn't put money into the system, and then they're like, oh, sure, go here, and then I'm like, wait.
No, that's not right.
So you kind of see a little bit of the corruption there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so there's definitely corruption. There's a perfect, if we were all doing the right thing and we didn't have corruption, that's how that system would work.
Yeah.
And the way it was 20 years ago, which is kind of the system that a lot of people are kind of wanting to go back to, is that you have this chart. And it's 4 categories. So you have the people who are still in the government care.
Oh,
Your hat. Yes. You still have people in government care, and they'll still be getting the same amount of treatment as they're getting now.
Yeah.
You have the middle class now is divided into 3 groups, and you have the working poor, who they can get government benefits as long as they follow the provisions, which is they work under a certain amount of hours. They only work for minimum wage, and that is a hellscape. Because then they can't get health. We had children being left in emergency rooms to die at the Hale Hospital because of this back then. You have then the lower middle class who are more blue collars. They have union health care, which for the most part is like the gold standard of health care in the United States for 50 years. And that would have been awesome.
Back when there were more unions than there are now, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now they're busting unions and stuff.
what's
And then your other one was the group pay benefits. So if you had a white collar job, you were the statistical analysis, you
Yep.
were in the machine, and most likely you were going to get denied. And you pay the most into the system, and you're most likely to get denied. They weren't doing preventative care. So there were a lot of things that were just very corrupt in this little section, which is kind of ironic because it's just before you get to that 1%ers. So if you're not blue collared, but you're not a 1%er, you're right there in the middle, you're getting the most rammed up the butt.
Well, and I think the same is, you can probably make this a similar chart for a lot of other things in
Yeah.
our society. Certainly about paying for college, right? If
Exactly.
you have no money whatsoever, you can get grants, you're going to get the loans that you want, etc. They'll still put you under some fucking debt in those loans, but you can go to college. If you're the middle class, especially if you're on the higher end of middle class, let's say you make a few $100,000 a year, well, you're not getting any support whatsoever. It's still going to hurt you to have to send your kids to school, right? Like financially, and there's no extra help there. And if you're super rich, you don't give a fuck,
Yeah.
right? And it's the same thing I would say with
Yeah,
healthcare.
but the scary thing that I had starred in there, which you can't read my handwriting, is that at that point that I'm talking about, which is 20 to 30 years ago, that gap, when you got to a job, you were submitting to a physical, and they would check you for
yeah.
pre-existing conditions, and if you had it, they could rescind the job offer, and so people would lose their jobs when they got sick. So that is now completely illegal in the United States, and you can sue the shit out of someone.
That was an Obamacare thing.
Yes.
So I think it's easy to get on and say, I think with all things, there's good and
There's
bad
good and
in all these
bad.
things. The thing that I'll take away more than anything else from Obamacare, though, is if you just look at the profits for the insurance companies, big pharma, since Obamacare to now, I mean, they're doing much. It was a great boon for those people.
Yeah.
Look, the Affordable Care Act made healthcare more affordable, period.
So
Mr. Sarcasm.
Right. Well, and let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Okay. So, my doctor, Jeff Gold, does not take any insurance whatsoever. He was in a very profitable family practice. The Affordable Care Act passed. He got a whiff of how corrupt it was and said, "I can't do this."
Yeah.
Mortgaged his house, started his own practice. And so basically, he is like it's like having a lawyer on retainer. I pay him a small monthly fee, and everything is covered.
I do the same thing with my doctor.
Okay, cool. So when I first got on with him, I had high deductible insurance, which is what I had before Obamacare. But before Obamacare, it was a $3,000 deductible for $300 a month. Mm-hmm. Very affordable. For a guy like me, I had $3,000 sitting in the bank. If anything happened, I was ready. That got outlawed, and then it was a $5,000 deductible, $500 a month, and it didn't cover everything.
Uh-huh.
So I go to Jeff. I have pneumonia. And I go to see him. He listens to my chest. He's like, "I'm supposed to give you a chest x-ray. You can go to Salem Hospital. It'll be $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever. Or you can drive up to New Hampshire and see my buddy. It'll be $250. He can't come to Massachusetts because there's this no compete clause or whatever. That's a whole other wormhole we can go down. Mm-hmm. All right. And I'm like, I can hear both your lungs crackling. I'm going to give you this antibiotic. And I'm like, all right, well, can we run it through my insurance so it goes against my deductible? And he goes, you absolutely don't want to do that. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he pulls it up on the screen. If we go through Obamacare, it's $75 for these pills. If we don't use any insurance at all, and I just go pay for it out of pocket, they were $7.50. Same fucking pills. Not a knockoff, same pills. Because, again, I'm just an uneducated, cisgender, straight white male. I'm really not allowed to have opinions on things. But from what I can find out from my Jewish doctor who has a PhD, there's a thing called the 80-20 rule in Obamacare, where they have to spend at least 20%. They can only keep 20% of their premiums, and they have to spend 80% of their premiums on health care. So it is in their benefit to jack the prices up because then the 80% gets bigger, the 20% gets bigger, and they just pass off to the people that have to pay premiums. Have to pay premiums. Now, fast forward. I'm a self-employed lobsterman. Fortunately, there is an organization called Fishermen's Partnership, and they started as an insurance company. Now their biggest thing is they have healthcare navigators. Nina Garappo is an amazing human being. And if I didn't have her to help me navigate Mass Health, I would have lost it 4 times already. And so like this week, I am putting all this stuff into the computer to figure out how much money I made, because I have to be under a certain line. And if I'm above that line, there's this no man's land where you can't afford if you're below the line, you get $50 a month, I think my health insurance cost me. If I get above that line, it turns into mortgage payment premiums, and I can't afford it. And there's this no man's land where, like, I'm sure it was not part of the plan to make it damn near impossible to be self-employed in this country. I'm sure that was definitely not part of the plan.
That was going to be my next rant.
Yeah, but the reality is that everyone I know that is self-employed, they've got a wife that gets insurance, and if their wife loses their insurance, they're screwed.
Yeah. That's been my entire culture in my family. So my family, the women are all nurses, and now some of the men are nurses as well. And then their husbands were farmers and tradesmen. So that the husbands could be self-employed and get the good money, but it was seasonal work. And the wives would make sure that they got the health benefits and the mortgage got paid. And that was the system. It was our system in the United States for years, for almost a century, where the women would get the jobs that could get the steady work, where the men did the dangerous work. And that was our lower middle class for almost 100 years. And yes, as you said, more people are, you have to go to college, and it has broken that system down.
Yeah.
Do you see the same thing with people, self-employed people struggling with the healthcare thing, or people with small businesses?
Okay, so for me, right, so now that I'm going from a full-time position, now the construction's starting to boom, I moved to part-time. And then now I'm per diem, so I have to work 3 days a month, right? Now they said, oh, well, you're not a full-time employee anymore, so now you lose your benefits. So they gave me a check for all my, my pay time off. And they said, oh, you have to get your own health insurance too. So I try to call. They say, oh, we'll open and I'm still young. I'm still learning all this stuff. So they're like, well, open enrollment's not till November. So, but we could get you a private insurance. And I'm like, how much is that going to cost? The one guy told me $550. And I made the mistake of going online and filling out an application, and every 3 minutes somebody called my phone for like a month. Oh my gosh! It was just, and then I think it was 3. I answered like the first few phone calls. I said, that's a little high. They're like, oh, $600 a month. I'm like, that's nuts. One guy called me. He said, I can get you for like $300. So then I was like, all right, cool. So now I'm paying like $300 a month. But I'm making more money doing construction, so it offsets, staying, trading, giving the hospital all my time.
Right, but imagine you had a wife and 4 kids.
So yes, yeah. So okay. So even a lot of the nurses, we have horrible health care at Lawrence General Hospital.
Really?
That's the big thing. Insurance is not good, right?
That's wild.
If you have a kid, it costs you over like $2,000. And if you have twins, that's $4,000. Some of these people don't have that.
I have triplets.
Oh, exactly. Boom, $6,000 just like that. Oh, congratulations. Write the check.
Right.
So true.
$1,000.
Yeah, true story. This is going back probably 25, 30 years ago. So I'm the oldest of 6. My dad's a lobsterman. When mom was pregnant, they signed up for health insurance, and Justin came 4 days before the insurance kicked in. And I remember my father. This is I swear to God, this is a true story. The hospital is calling because it was only like $1,500 or $2,000 for a baby drop back then. It's not like the $10,000 it is now. But they're like, Mr. Simons, we need a payment. And my dad's like, it's the middle of February. I'll have some money for you in late summer, early fall when the lobsters show up. And the guy was unrelenting, and my old man snaps. He goes, you know what? You can come repossess the kid. I got 6 of them. You can take more than one if you want them.
Sacrifice the first one.
Large Catholic families, baby.
So that's great. All right, so here's my take, and on the whole healthcare thing. We have one issue built into our current thing, which is we've conflated healthcare services with health insurance for emergencies. So there's two separate things at play here, right? Like you going for your health checkups. Like imagine if your car insurance had to cover your oil changes, your brake jobs, every single thing on your car. Your car insurance payments would go through the roof. And people who didn't take care of their cars very well and just had old shit boxes would really cost you a lot of money being under the same umbrella.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
I had
Yeah,
a
and-
coworker who bankrupted our group. So we had one group. This was right after Affordable Care Act. So we had one group. I wasn't paying into it. I had private insurance. But they had the group, and they were going to lay this person off, and that person made sure she got all of her appointments done before they laid her off. So when the other guy went in, he had a sick baby, took the sick baby to the emergency room, the group fund was gone, and he couldn't get health care for his sick baby.
Wild.
So there's actually three things that you talked about that are all interconnected.
Ooh, I like it.
All right. So I was in the automotive industry for a long time. We sold my own garage. Right. So one of the reasons that car prices have tripled since the 90s is because you could get financing for them.
Yep.
One of the reasons that college tuitions have gone
Huge
through
reason,
the roof
yep.
is because you can get financing for them.
Federally backed loans.
Yes.
Financing that the banks cannot possibly lose on.
Yes.
Their favorite kind.
Yes, and one of the reasons that healthcare is going through the roof is because everybody's got insurance.
Exactly.
If you look at, and this is one of the things that Jeff talks about, if you look at dentistry and ophthalmology, like those services aren't going through the roof because the insurance isn't there for them. Here's like a perfect example in the automotive industry. If you have a broken windshield and you go to a glass place, they assume you have insurance,
Yeah.
and they give you a bill that's astronomical. And if you say, I can't afford that, I don't have insurance. Oh, well, why didn't you say it in the first place? We can do it for $300.
Yep.
They have two prices.
Well, you talked about the scan thing because I broke my wrist a few months ago, and when I went, they sent me for a CT scan because the X-ray looked bad. And when I went for my CT scan, I got a bill in the mail for $500 was my part of the CT scan bill. Over the $2,000 was the charge. I was in that room for 3 minutes. I literally got 3 minutes of service, and I Googled the machine because I'm like, what, this machine $50 million? Is that why it cost? Nope, the machines are like a few $100,000, but the math doesn't math on that. 3 minutes with a $300,000 machine and someone who makes $40 an hour.
Are you a doctor?
Should not.
Are you a doctor? I'm not. Where are your sources?
Exactly.
I'm not sure that you should eat. Like, this is disinformation.
But it goes back to what you're talking about, in that there's quotas on how many of these machines. I can't just go and start a CT scan company. I can't just go open all of our CT scans in Nashua, New Hampshire, and give everyone.
Well, and New Hampshire is a lot better than Massachusetts is. If you want to, so like Jeff was telling me, he's got this buddy in New Hampshire. He's got they does X-ray, CT scans, that sort of thing, for a third of what it costs here in Massachusetts. He wants to move to Massachusetts, but he has to get permission from Mass General and all of these big hospitals that are never going to let him in here because they got to show a need for it.
Right. So I think what's happened is we've killed the free market around healthcare.
Yes.
And at the same time, and it was done for good reason, because it's morally repugnant to watch somebody suffer in pain, right? Like some kid gets hit by a bus. If you go, well, let's find out if he can afford this surgery or not, you're kind of a piece of shit, right? Like there's a morally repugnant piece of this that you can't let people suffer in pain. But at the same time, when we put the government in charge of everything, it creates incredible inefficiency, incredible corruption between big pharma and the insurance companies, and central management, as things has been shown over and over again, is not as good at managing your resources and your choices as you are.
And let's not forget that the people that write the laws, after they write the laws, go to work as
Consultants or
consultants
lobbyists or whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they were in that your 1% group to begin with. Nobody in Congress, and certainly no one in the Trump administration, a bunch of billionaires, is like, oh shit, I have real experience dealing with the high cost of healthcare. None of those people have thought about that once in their fucking lives, right? So, here's my take. I think I think we should completely deregulate the healthcare system. I would kill Obamacare. I would kill all things that involve the government in insurance, in anything beyond transparency and consent stuff and regulation. Obviously, you can't have people lying and being and deceiving you and whatever. And I would kill all that stuff. And I would have government funded emergency rooms and clinics. Because it's morally repugnant to let somebody go sick and die in the street. If someone is hacking up a fucking lung and they can't afford health care, they should still be able to go to the clinic or to the emergency room and get taken care of.
Well, they sorry, not to cut you off,
So go ahead.
but they still can. So we see
Absolutely.
we see homeless people off the street all the time. I mean, they're losing fingers, everything like that. One thing I want to mention. So somewhere like Canada, they have universal health care. If you're sick, you go there. Everybody gets the same treatment. The reason why United States, people are gonna have their opinions on it, is like the best healthcare in the world. A lot of people say is because, again, it goes back to capitalism, right? So if a doctor knows he's gonna go get paid millions of dollars, right? Like if you're an orthopedic surgeon, you know you're gonna make a killing. You're gonna go spend that 10 years in school, right? To go, invest your time, all your time to go and your youth to go and learn how to put people together. So now they're gonna get the payments on the back end from it, and then they're gonna make all this money. If they're not gonna get paid well, the issue is no one's gonna go into healthcare. So now you have a lack of doctors, and now you have one doctor seeing 6,000 people,
Right.
rather than, I don't know what the ratios are right now.
But I think the problem with our current system is the way to get paid well is to not be a really good doctor. It's to figure out how to game the system. How do I get the most money out of, this guy's on Mass Health. All right, we'll do this thing. Oh, this guy's got insurance. All right, we're going to go this route about it. And it's all about figuring out how to get the most money out of it. That's why I would, if it were me, the health system at large, I would completely take the government out of it. I'd say, figure out health insurance on your own. Figure out, you want to go pay a doctor a monthly fee like that. And I would really encourage those of you who don't know about this, about doctors who don't take health insurance. Johnny's not the only one person who's got a doctor like this. It's a growing movement in the country right now.
Google direct care physician. And if you can't figure that out, Google Jeff Gold Direct Care in Salem, Mass. He's actually on, Jeff is on the national committee that the government's trying to shut them all down. Because they feel like it's competition. He's on the national group to keep this thing running. So like if you have a question about DPC, he can probably find you a DPC physician in your area.
Cool. Yeah.
And, and he encourages those kinds of phone calls.
And although I don't want to promote this too much because it's the wrong audience, but if you're not in the Massachusetts area, if you're watching this somewhere else,
We have lots of audience not in Massachusetts.
okay.
Thank you.
So One Medical was bought by by Bezos for Amazon. So if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can see a doctor.
Interesting. So and I think there's a whole bunch of opportunities that we have now with technology, with what do they call it with when you talk to the doctor on the phone.
Telemedicine.
Exactly.
Jeff does that. That's really bailed me out. Like I've been on the boat with a cut, and I'm like, hey Jeff, what do you think? And he's like, oh, just you can finish the day, or get your ass in here.
Right. So I think, as in most industries, things shouldn't be getting expensive. We have better technology than we have. They should be getting cheaper. So again, I think the best way to accomplish that goal would be to have, if we want to fund things publicly, if we want to say this is a public thing we're funding, just fucking do it. Just spend the money, build the hospital, build the clinic, pay the nurse, pay the doctor. This whole we're gonna subsidize this type of insurance and we're gonna intertwine ourselves in the industry doesn't work, and all it does is cause corruption, and all it does is causes inflation. And again, it's the same thing with college. The more government has got involved in education, the more expensive it's gotten.
So I actually have a solution to the college loan thing, and okay. No sarcasm. I've been sarcastic all night. Right now, I'm being deadly serious. I actually learned this when I was working for Caterpillar. I used to work on engines bigger than trucks. And so I modeled this after how Caterpillar deals with situations where they don't know who's at fault. I think that all of these kids that have been led to slaughter and sent to, and they've run up all these loans. All right?
You're talking about the student loan forgiveness.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
I'm a big fan of this plan, by the way.
Okay. All right. So, the kids should pay a third of what the loan is, because that's probably what it should have been in the first place. The banks, who made a fuck ton of money on this, should eat a third of the loan, and the universities that really profited from this should eat another third.
Yeah.
And then just everybody that is taking care of the problem was involved in it.
Yep.
I don't want to pay for your loan. I got enough of my own shit. I want to pay for your loan. All right. But if you're in over your head because you got led to slaughter because you had a guidance counselor that told you to do this stuff and your parents believed it and everyone believed the lie, they all drank the Kool-Aid. Well, the people that made the fucking Kool-Aid should be paying the bill. Yeah. And that's the banks and the colleges. You know, like when I went to Worcester State College in 1991, I think it was less than $5,000 a year.
Wow.
So the predatory loan started the year before I started college. And my first year tuition was $1,100 for a Massachusetts state school.
Yeah.
My second year was the same. It was $10,000 a semester as I finished.
Wow.
When my sibling went to the exact same school, $38,000 a semester.
Imagine that though. Like imagine if school was a couple grand, you'd go, cool. I'm just gonna like get a job, pay for school, get out of school, have no loans, whatever.
Yeah, I was looking at getting a job at the grocery store across the street, and with what I was paying for college then, my first semester, I could work at the grocery store and have an apartment, because I was going to school in Dorchester. And but by the time I graduated, it was $10,000 a year, not a semester. And then when I went back 4 years later, when the bubble burst and no one could get jobs anyways. So that was the other thing I wanted to bring up about insurance was that contractors didn't get insurance.
Yeah.
And they stopped hiring full-time employees in 2007 through till 2014. So you had an entire population of workforce that was going to be willing to stab anyone in the fucking eye to get that position that for every 5 person there was one position that had health benefits. And it just became this this effect of slavery that you would never ever leave your job. You would do whatever it took. So I finally got I was able to buy my own insurance. I said, screw you. I went back to college because that's how I could get insurance. And I went for a business degree.
Yeah,
I left.
one, yeah.
I left after 2 years. I actually have a pre-med degree first. So I had a real job. And then I was going to get the business degree and see if I could. 2 years of kids trying to do protests and not showing up to classes. And I'm like, I'm paying too much money for this BS. And that was $4,000 a semester for 2 courses. If I went full time, it was $10,000 a semester, so $20,000 a year. And then 4 years after that, it was $38,000 a semester. Exact same college.
And just to be clear, while we're back on the college topic, I'm not telling people not to go to college. This is not an anti-college podcast. No. The point is, don't buy the college thing as like, oh, I'm just going to college, it's going to be great. If I go to college, all my no. If there's a thing you need to learn in college, I want to be a dentist. Therefore, I'm going to go take dentistry in college, and here's the math. Here's how it's going to math. It's going to cost me this much. I'll make this much, and it's going to make sense, or whatever. Do that. But if you're like, I'm just going to go to college, I don't know how to study, I'm just going to go to college, and everything's going to be, no, that's not true. Your guidance counselor's an asshole for telling you that's true. Like, cut that shit out.
So this is what I tell the kids to do, right? I say, okay, people, like a lot of times people say, oh, money's not everything, but then you're going to realize as soon as you get out of college, and then they're like, hey, you owe me $800 a month because you went to college. You're like, wait, see, I actually have to pay this? Yeah, you actually have to pay this. So what I tell these people to do, right? Okay, what do you want to do? Okay, I want to do, people going for psych, super general. And then I tell people, well, if you do you like psychology? Yeah. I'm like, okay, so if I were you, I'd go to nursing school and then be a psychiatric nurse practitioner. Or a psychiatric nurse. Mm-hmm. And then that way you're actually working in the field. So, okay. So I say, okay, look up whatever you want to do, look at the salary, and then look at how much loans you're going to be having to take out, and then see if it makes sense. If the numbers don't add up, you might want to try to, and just being real, if that was my kid, I'm telling you, you got to make more money, just being honest with you. Or, because my dad was real brutally honest growing up. I told him, oh, Dad, I want to do this. Nope.
Exactly.
And I'll be like, geez, that's rough. You're supposed to support me, whatever. He's like, no, it doesn't make any money. He's like, you'll be miserable. You'll never leave the house. And then it's like, sometimes it's like, you almost need that. You almost need someone to be straight up with you. No, that makes no money. You're going to be struggling. Like, scraping dollars, and then now you're pissed off. Now you're fighting with your now you're fighting with your spouse. Now you're beating your kids because you don't know. You're just miserable. You're waking up depressed. But it's true. A lot of people live in that rat race. So I tell them, look at how much money you're making, and then see if it makes sense with the loan you're taking out. The best school in not the country, I might be exaggerating. The best school in this area right now is Greater Lawrence Technical School, big time.
Yeah.
Everybody I know, I'm getting a little excited here. My friends that are plumbers, no, but it's really crazy because these guys are like 25 years old, 26 years old, and they're like going on vacations. Like they're having so much money they don't even know what to do with because they know how to use their hands. So if you have a problem, right, and I know how to solve your problem, I can get paid for that. So whether you say, damn, I really need a shed built, and then you're like, oh, well, I know this guy Aaron's always posting on Instagram. Hey, Aaron, can you build me a shed? Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. Okay, it'll be this much. You're like, well, that's my problem. I need it to start my automotive shop. I need a garage built. So, like, you have to hire someone to solve your problem. Mm-hmm. So what the Voc is doing, they're setting these people up. I need my hair done. I need my nails done. You're teaching these people, oh, look at you. How much do you spend on your nails?
120.
120. How long
for fucking fingernails?
No, but
bruh.
Even
You don't want to get
simplest-
into that conversation.
Yeah.
No, but
2 to 3
the
weeks.
simplest services.
You chose
can-
the right woman.
Yeah. No, but so how long are you in the chair for?
Like 2 hours.
So 2 hours. So you figure right there, $120.
$60.
So now imagine you start. So
It
this
takes
is someone.
you 2 hours to get your nails done?
Yeah, if I do like not these, but like if I do something crazy, yeah.
That's
But hear me out.
Average.
So watch how you could do this, right? So you could. Oh, I don't really know about college. I don't really know what else to do, but I really just love doing nails. Watch how easy this is. Okay, so now I start doing nails. I build up a clientele. Okay, let's Ashley's Lashes, right? So that's going to be the name. My name's Ashley. Okay. I'm going to go start doing nails. I'm going to start making all these reels, these TikToks, because social media is going to blow up any business, really, as long as you play your cards right. Okay, Ashley's Lashes. Yeah, we do the best lashes. We do the best nails, blah, blah, blah. So now my friend's like, man, I don't know what to do. I like watching what you do. Okay, I'll teach you. I can teach her how to do that. Okay, now I'm going to teach them. Now you have a salon.
Yeah.
Now you have 10 chairs, and then now instead of doing the nails yourself, you can really just... Now you're serving people at a higher level because now instead of doing one person, now you could do 10 people at a time. And now you're delivering such a high quality service, and you want to do good for somebody, and then they'll give you their money.
Salons are actually you rent the chair out, so you're making your money, and then you have the 9 chairs, which cost you almost nothing to install.
Yeah.
But you charge those people a quarter of what they earn back to you.
Yeah, so now you're giving them the space because they don't have the overhead to own the salon.
So you have the passive income and the real income.
Yeah, it's like a barbershop. That's why my buddy owns a barbershop. He owned one barbershop, it's The Fix in Haverhill. Now he owns 2. So now before you know it, it's going to be 3, and then 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8, and it's just built faster and faster. And if you want to go...
But anytime you're offering a service and adding value, that's going to get you somewhere, right? I think that's thinking...
I just want to add one thing to what he's saying, and I 1,000% agree with everything you're saying. To be the person that I needed when I was younger, I'm going to say, if you're thinking about being self-employed, buy QuickBooks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go on YouTube. Go to a QuickBooks seminar, whatever. I could fix cars like there's no tomorrow. I didn't understand how to manage the money. QuickBooks changed that. I still use QuickBooks to run my lobster boat.
Yeah, I use it too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was better before it was online, but it's still. The money management thing, when I had my garage, one of the auto parts stores, Parts Plus, they put on what they called Parts Plus University. I'll never forget this. All of the local shop owners in Bismarck, North Dakota, showed up at this event, and the guy running the event goes, "All right, everyone who knows how to fix cars, stand up." All the dudes stand up, and a handful of the women. Everyone who knows how to balance a checkbook, stand up. Almost all the guys sat down. All the women are standing. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows how to read a balance sheet. And I think there was a third thing he said, and no one was standing up. And he goes, let me get this. I'm going to go out on a limb here. All you guys are working harder than you've ever worked before. You don't have any money. You know what's going on. And he showed us how to, all of your labor should pay all of your bills. And your parts profit is what you put in your pocket. I won't get into it.
Okay,
but like, he's like, I was where you were at. And it was basically business 101 for guys who went to school to be mechanics. And everyone that wants to become a contractor or a mechanic or a landscaper or whatever, a lot of times you know how to do the craft. It's not rocket science to run the money part of it. You don't need to go to college to get a business degree, but you do need to at least find a good CPA or someone that can help. I'm actually in the process of handing off all of my bookkeeping to my CPA so I can just go catch lobsters and keep the boat running.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm catching myself in that same predicament because I'm going home after working all day. Getting the receipt. Look at just for an example, watch this. Look at my wallet, all the receipts I gotta go through now. I mean, this is like a normal week, but like, look, I got like
Dude,
receipts.
you're my brother from another mother.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But look, see, all receipts. I have to go through every receipt and take a picture and upload it. I'll be in the office for 4 hours, and I'm like, man, I'm tired. Want to hang out? No, I gotta be in the office today. But now I'm like looking to probably maybe next year like outsource because even if you think about it, I think I'm
Chris Finn, CPA.
Yeah. But even this, it's like a whole other level of thinking, right? Because in my head, I'm saving money by not hiring somebody. But instead of me doing it myself, why don't I pay him to do what he's good at, and I do what I'm good at? And then,
Yes.
Good stuff.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
All right, guys, we are running awful short on time, so we're gonna have to wrap soon. I would like to first thank everyone for being here. I think these are great discussions. Remember, when we're getting into the details of how to survive in our current existence, how to thrive, how to do your best, don't ever lose sight of the system is a fucking made up thing, and we can all collectively do better than this shit. You know, we should not be sitting around figuring out in this day and age how to just barely scrape to survive and get by, and how to not get caught in with the college scam or the health insurance scam or one scam or the other. And some of these scams you can't even avoid.
Life is just a scam.
It's a lot of that in there. So anyway, let's all keep an open mind around how we can create a better future that is different from the one that we're in now, because I think we can all work together on that. And I think taking some ownership of your own situation, so not being the guy who's denying insurance to people as they're dying, that's if you're doing something wrong, stop doing things that are wrong. If you're in a field or in a job that you don't believe in what you're doing, as much as is possible, given your, I know we all got bills to pay, but pivot. It's time to think about doing something that is moral. Because if nobody was doing immoral shit, then none of this immoral shit would happen. People, if no one was willing to screw over that guy waiting in the hospital bed so that they could raise their stock investor prices, whatever, then that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't be our system. It's only our system because people are willing to do that, make those decisions, push out that moral dilemma, and go, oh well, it's not. It's just the system. Don't hate the player, hate the game, kind of thing. Like, own that. Make sure that in your day-to-day lives you're not doing things that are immoral. Make sure you're working to put as much of your energy into things that you know are right and are just and are moving people, yourself, your community, the whole world forward into a better place than, oh well, fuck this guy for a minute, I just got to get mine. Right? I think we can all do better in that way. I'm really thankful for the discussion we've had today. Do you guys have any final words? I want to make sure we get some plugs in too. So let's go around, talk about anything we want to plug. And any final words we have, we will start with our guest of honor. Aaron, what do you got? Tell us, give us a final word on today, and make sure we can plug your stuff.
So my last thing I would probably notice is that every system's corrupt. Like, I know in the beginning you were saying don't hate the player, hate the game, right? So that's what I kind of mentioned, right? But when I was using that reference to talk to Danny, when I was talking about Danny, I'm not gonna pay him $10 an hour for him to go work, his butt off. But I want to incentivize him to a point where he wants to work. So that's the difference, right?
Yeah.
So you don't do it to get over on somebody. You do it to give them the opportunity. And like I tell my workers, like the different people I'm training, and like I'm taking people who didn't have like any path, right? The guy I got working for me now, he's great. So I tell him, I say, do you want to make more money? He says, yeah, of course. Obviously, the answer is yes, right? So I was like, okay, so the more skills you learn that I teach you that you can do for me, I can start to pay you more. And I tell him, I want to pay you more money because you'd be more valuable to me, and then we grow together, literally. So he's not gonna gain all these skills for him to stay at 20 or 15 or whatever I'm paying him. So the more you grow as a person and the more valuable you could be to me, the more I would want to pay you because I will pay for that value.
And I think this ties in exactly what we've been talking about before. So rather than going, well, capitalism is evil, we must crush capitalism, and blah, blah, blah. People who are doing honest capitalism, what you're talking about, right? Like, there is not everything is a zero-sum equation. Sometimes your guy gets better, he makes more money, and you make more money off of him.
Yeah.
We all win in that situation.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
There's not everything is exploiter,
Yeah.
exploited relationship. So I think, and that's what I'm getting at is I think when we're making the decisions about how we live our lives, how we run our businesses, we don't have to go to, oh well, it's just the system is immoral, so I'm just gonna fuck this guy over.
Yeah.
I bet I can get him to work for $12 now. This poor sucker, he doesn't know how to do shit. Whatever. You don't have to go one way or the other, or I'm gonna go be a nun and never make another dollar the rest of my life. Right? There's a mid ground where you can both do better for yourself and be a good moral person doing better for other people.
Yeah.
And it sounds like
one
it's
thing
exactly
that I
what you're going
noticed
at.
too, like a lot, like how you were saying, learn more skills so then you could get paid more. But I'll be sitting around people. I'm doing all of this stuff that I'm doing normally, trying to get more money because I know you need to build your value to get more money. And people are just sitting there fucking around like, I don't get paid enough. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, bro, like I'm working freaking 3 different jobs doing 5 different things. You want to know why? Because I want to make more money.
Yeah.
Like
You're a
even
unicorn, man. Do you know how hard it is to find a guy like you?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then
I
life
haven't
finds
found
like,
another one yet.
No, but to say
oh,
that, but
I'll take you for beers.
Yeah.
I'm the old version.
I'm trying to stop drinking.
Yeah.
No,
So
I
no,
can't,
but
I can't do everything and drink stuff.
yeah.
Yep, that's how it goes.
No, but chasing value, I think, is something that needs to be taught, especially to the younger generation who are trying to find their path. If you're just going through the motions, but your time is worth more than that just to go through the motions. Absolutely. So I would say chase value, and I would say find a good mentor. There's someone out there that has done it before you. Mm-hmm. You need a blueprint. So if you're a ship in a harbor, right, and you're supposed to get from point A to point B, and I say, all right, get to point B, and you're like, well, where's point B? You have no roadmap. Right. So you can't expect these children to go ahead. Even anybody, even adults, you can't expect them to get somewhere with no blueprint. YouTube, anything you could possibly do is on YouTube. That's actually why I started a channel. So I started kind of teaching stuff too. And honestly, something that's been big for me the last couple of years is I'm becoming older and wise enough to realize that nothing in this life is possible without having God in your life. So I know everybody has the different belief systems, but I always have to stand true to that. I was put into my situation, learning from my dad and being able to have these life experiences that I can grow from, and everything has just been a blessing the whole time. So I always got to give glory to God, because it's not me that's doing it. It's just the opportunity being there and me being able and blessed enough to have that opportunity there and just work on it. So
thank you. What's your is this AMG Construction and Finishing? Is this your YouTube too?
Yes, I do have a YouTube. Yeah, you can check it out actually.
So if you guys check out you got them. Yep, thanks, Des. So here's the YouTube page where you can find out what do you do on your YouTube.
So the first thing, so I had this mentor for a while. He was teaching me a lot of stuff. Like, he was like a life coach, great guy. So he's actually the one who introduced me to the Bible first of all, and the wisdom that was actually in the Bible, not just the stuff you thought it was about. And he was always talking about how everything you do is to serve people at high levels, right? And everything was for the edification of the body, right? So the eye isn't the nose, but you still need to smell the smoke and see the smoke if you want to and use your feet to run. But they all have their own jobs, but everything you do is supposed to be, and you always use the word edifies, to edify everyone around you. So we all come from different backgrounds, but we're all bouncing off each other and using our power, right? So if I'm here, right, and I died, everything I learned in my whole life, which I feel like I've learned a lot so far, yes. If I died, I got nothing to show. So everything I know, if I go to the grave with that, I'm selfish. If everything you've known, you take it right to the grave, that you're a selfish person. So why don't you take the 10 minutes to make a video? So if someone was curious, oh, Oliver was a cool guy, let's go see what Oliver had to say. Granted, something happened. Now you can see something. Boom. Oh, wow, this guy knew what he was talking about. Oh, wow. So now you didn't just live life for yourself. Now you leave something behind. And in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's like with psychology, when you're an older person, what gives people that fulfillment is leaving something behind for their children and their grandchildren. It's a lot of people don't want kids until they're older, but once you start getting older and you have nothing to give back, a lot of times people kind of sit there at night and it kind of hits them like, damn, I never really, I'm not leaving something behind me. So leave an impact, leave a wave, don't leave a ripple, and just be your best self.
Beautiful. And can you tell us, Des, you showed the screen over here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tell us about your business.
I didn't answer your question. So I put videos on different mindset stuff, right? Different things that my coach was teaching me, and I relayed that onto my YouTube channel. So I have different mindset things that I talked about, and then I'm also starting to do I want to do an HD TV type of TV show. So I have 3 episodes My 4th episode, we did a huge addition. Awesome. There were Hindu people. I built this big temple for them. This place is kick ass. So that one's gonna take some time to edit. I might have to use your services. It's gonna help me out. Whether you could do it or I just need to get that done. I'm too busy right now working.
We have a network here.
Yeah,
So
we'll make that happen for
people,
sure.
yeah.
But yeah, so it's just like it's pretty much like a lifestyle thing. I like to I just want to make a whole thing and just do all kinds of crazy stuff and just show people that like you can really just do whatever you want to do.
Nice.
And it's the other side. It's the enemy, whether you call it the devil or whatever you call it. That's always trying to tell you, nah, don't do that. It's a bad idea. So you can do whatever you really want to do in this life. So
That's a great message.
Yeah.
And last thing, just tell us about your business. What do you guys offer, and how people can get in touch with you?
So we first started off with just finished carpentry, but now we can do everything from building additions, homes, kitchens, bathrooms. We do it all. So literally, we got a system in place where you just can't beat it. We do pristine work. I mean, we're at a standard right now, and if you don't meet that standard, you can't be in the same building as us. So I like it. Real clean work. So we're prideful. It's in the blood.
Good. So amgfinishesconstruction.com
Yep.
to find you. Excellent. And your AMG Construction and Finishing is the YouTube page.
It's just AMG. Oh no, that's not me. That's
wrong one.
You could look up
So,
Aaron Goulet. I believe it's under my name.
I will look that up right now. While I'm doing that, and I'll bring that up after. Deezy, you got your last words for the day? Things
Shout
you
out
wanna
to In the Moment. That's my company. Photography, videography, editing, and Sensitive Club. You know, I always got a piece of Sensitive Club on this season. So, yeah, shout out the business.
Before we get today, just right back here from you, Des, real quick. There we go. AMG Finishes. That's the right one, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot I even did that. Yeah, because people always say, "What's it like to be a nurse? What's it like to be?" So you know what I do, people? If you care that much, go look at my YouTube channel.
There you go.
Now I don't have to sit there for an hour. So.
All kinds of good stuff. Excellent.
Smart.
All right, Day, what do you got? Any last words for the day? Anything you want to share with us?
All I'm gonna say is thank you to the Doing Better show, because every episode is very insightful. I learned a lot tonight with great people, so it was great to be a part of it. And I'm glad to be back.
It's great to have you back. It's so nice to have you back. Beth, what do you got to share with us?
The best way to screw with the system is taking care of yourself and taking care of your family. So the best way to fuck over healthcare is better nutrition and better exercise. Granted, I could give a whole rant about how the exercise industry is a total corrupt scam.
Just walk.
But there are people who are willing to help. Go onto socials. There are free running clubs. There are free in this Lawrence area. There's free running clubs. There's women's groups that do exercise and brunch to keep you social and healthy. I teach community classes in a variety of places. For the remainder of this month, I will be in downtown Haverhill every Saturday providing free yoga. I was going to be doing a workshop for money. I'm not doing that anymore because I've decided to leave that company. So I'm going to be doing those 3 workshops. They're called Sun and Moon Flows. They're for Christmas. This Friday, this Saturday, and on Christmas Eve. They're going to be free. I will be accepting donations for the Lazarus House because currently I have been working at that yoga studio in downtown Haverhill for donations for Lazarus House. We're doing a diaper drive, so diapers, wipes, and hats and gloves for small children. If you want to come and work out and donate to a good cause, we would love to have you.
Love it. Awesome. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.
And Top Hat Johnny, last but certainly not least, been great to have you back this season, and looking to have some more of you on the Doing Better show.
It's always good to be here. A couple things I want to leave you with. I think in this insane society that we live in, the best way to measure success is by the smile on your face when you tell people what you do for a living.
It's a good one.
And I think a theme that has been bouncing around, and you certainly kicked it pretty hard, is just try to be the person you needed when you were younger. Mm-hmm. How much better would the world be if we all just tried to be the person that we needed when we were younger? If you like my my brand of sarcasm, I am Top Hat Johnny. I am a comedian. I will be at The Cut this coming Wednesday in Gloucester at 7:00. It's a great little open mic. Be the best $5 you spend all week. You can find me on Facebook at Top Hat Johnny. I post all my comedy there, and this has been great.
It's been great having you. Thank you. You want to show them real quick on here? The Cut in Gloucester.
Oh yeah, that place is awesome.
thecutlive.com. So you can go check that out, and that'll be Wednesday. You said 7:00.
Yeah, they have a comedy open mic every month. It depends on what their schedule is like, so you have to check with them. But usually in the middle of the month, middle of the week, middle of the month, we draw probably 10 to 20 of the best comedians north of Boston. It's a cheap $5 to get in. It's not like other open mics. There's a good crowd there. It's not just comedians, but there's a good chance that you could go there, see somebody, and then 5 years from now be like, wow, I saw that guy before he was somebody.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm always supporting local art, and local artists is where we're at. Awesome. Great. Well, thank you everyone for being here. I am feeling very fortunate to be surrounded by such wonderful people. Very excited for this. Thank you for all those of you who joined us. As was said, I really think it can become very overwhelming in this world with drones and wars and psyops and maybe aliens and healthcare and da-da-da. And I really want to go back to what Beth said, which is the best thing that we can do to fuck the system is to build yourself up, build your family up, build your friends up, build your community up. That is strength that they cannot fuck with. And there's a reason that all those things have become harder. And for the last 50 years, as we've seen corporate profits skyrocket, as we've seen government surveillance and control go through the roof, it's at the same time that we've seen people, families, and communities get weaker. And there's a very clear solution in that you can do every single day. I can't make the whole system better today, but I can strengthen myself, my family, my community, the people around me. That way we're less susceptible to the fuckery.
It's definitely not easy either. One thing
not.
I've been doing recently to try to be good for myself is make my own soda. Bro, do you know how hard it is to make soda? Oh, no, it's easy to make soda. It's hard to make good tasting soda. It's pretty much carbonated lemonade, every single recipe. That's all it is.
Good. Those who
I'm
out
used
here,
to it. I drink coffee black.
those of you who are out there and would like to join us, we would love you to come in and be part of our panel. Come share and tell us about what you're doing better in the world, or offer content, get involved in the comments. We're going to get better at getting on top of those. That's the next goal for the Doing Better shows, some more interaction out there. So please share and like and comment on all the things that the other annoying people say. And thank you for joining us.
One's in the chat.
I am Oliver.